There's our last speaker. Awesome. All right. So thanks everybody for coming back. It's I don't know, a new school year. I don't know, it's not a new calendar year, but anyways, new. We're back off summer break, so thanks for coming and making it to our temporary location here until the building is rebuilt. So I'm sure we'll talk about tonight. For those who have not met me, I'm Scott Grolinger, your current Civic League president. Let me see. I don't see either of our vice presidents here. We have Brenda, our secretary. If you want to wave. We've got Gray, our treasurer, in the back. So you need to pay money. He's your guy. We got Zach, one of our at-large board members. Erica, our newsletter editor. And I think that's all for current board members. I see a few former ones. Maybe we can get you back. All right, let me think. Oh, I spoke too soon. Our vice president, Chris DePalma, everybody. There you go. Yeah. There's a seat for you right up here. Sure. All right. I think that covers basic introductions. We'll get to others in a minute, but I will start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance then. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everybody, and I'll turn it over to Officer Toth to give us our update.
So did your crime stats for the past 30 days. On 8/16, 100 block West Little Creek Road, you had aggravated assault. Suspect was known to the victim. Victim was cut with a knife. Suspect was arrested on scene. She was actually arrested at 217 West Little Creek. On 9/1, 300 block of Burleigh Avenue, you had a stolen license plate. 9/6, 100 block West Little Creek Road. The suspect from the previous incident took out charges on the victim from that incident. It just states it was for larceny. Since sometimes when they take out the charges without our assistance, just a report is generated because it has to go with the charge. So there's not a lot of information with it. Then on 9/8, 500 block West Little Creek Road, you had a larceny from auto. Vehicle was unsecured and items were taken. Since 100 block West Little Creek Road, I did a 90-day check to see how many arrests have been made in that area. So we had 17 arrests in the past 90 days, 8 of which were at the Walgreens, 4 of which were at 211 West Little Creek Road, and 2 additional ones at 215 West Little Creek Road. The 200 block, they're all for trespassing charges. The Walgreens charges are half trespassing and half larceny. So what we've been doing, concentrating on that, is Officer Matthews is our precinct detective. So he's been going in with ABC store at 7550 and the Walgreens because they've had repeat offenders. So he's been taking the video images from the stores, matching them up with people since we've been doing field interviews with the people in the 200 block and 100 block and IDing everybody. So he can now go look at the video, say, yep, that's so-and-so. And then it goes to the magistrates via video right at the precinct, takes out all the charges. As soon as the charges come in, I take and check weekly to see who's got warrants of our group that's out there. And then I send that over to patrol and I send it out to our criminal enforcement unit and they go and they pick the people up. That's how we've been kind of doing it lately. So I think we're going to shift from that location up to Langford and in there. And I know somebody mentioned Bondale apartments. We'll include those too. But so we're just kind of moving along our way, arresting what we can arrest for. So.
Can you pay attention? The apartments that are right across from where the 200 block.
Bondale.
So now they take it like, I went to the apartment complex and they said they would keep them away, but they're coming back. So
yeah.
It's difficult for them because they bring chairs and.
So yeah, like I told the person I talked to earlier, what I'll do is I'll go get tier letters. I just have to get them for each of the building addresses, And that should cover the hallways and the little entryways. And typically I'll ask for one for their laundry if they have laundry facilities. I'll get them for all the buildings, but
Okay.
I want to make sure I include laundry facilities because that's a typical spot.
And one other thing, the house on Burley, that was all boarded up, they've taken the boards off, and I know they had two, trash, they were cleaning out,
dumpsters,
but
yeah.
they left it open the whole weekend. The doors were open, all the windows had all the boarding off of them, so it may be changed by today, but I went by there on Saturday and Sunday, and I thought, I wonder what's going on in there.
Well, David still owns it, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
He lives in it?
No.
No,
He
you can't.
lives next door, but he still owns the building.
Yeah, it's in court. I believe it's still in court.
Okay.
So I think he passed out the last court date. I think they had to continue because of some sort of issue at court.
Okay.
So, but I'll check into it, see if there's any calls, and then if anything, we can clear.
At least the doors were closed.
Okay.
They were wide open.
No, that's good. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we want to know so that like I can let.
Could be squatted.
Yeah.
Been before, yeah.
Anybody else? That's it.
How about the man that stands or lays down in the middle of the intersection at Ward's Corner?
I think he's
Yeah.
on.
What can be done for him?
If he's intoxicated, he could be picked up for that.
What's that?
If he's intoxicated in public, we can pick him up for that.
He's just laying he's got his feet in the road in the dark at 9 o'clock at night in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
He's
assuming
panhandling.
people call it in.
But
He sits
he's
there.
bad.
Should we do that? Is that-
Yes, definitely, yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been telling everybody.
I called Friday afternoon because I think he was passed away. He was up in the Walgreens by the bushes on the.
You mean
ground.
passed out or passed away?
I think he's gone, because I haven't seen him since, because he did not move, and I didn't want to get too close to him, so, but I haven't seen him since.
Okay, I mean, I can check
Can
either
you
which
check on
way.
that? Yeah. That was my call Friday, this Friday afternoon.
Okay. So for my follow-ups, I've got Bondale do the tier letters for that. 101 Burley, I'll check into that and see what's going on, if it's boarded up, if we need to keep an eye on it. And I'll check on the white mail that's been sitting in.
When I saw him Friday morning, he looked really bad.
Okay,
So his stuff is still in there. But that, he hasn't been there, and I go out there every morning and every afternoon, so.
did I miss anything for follow-ups?
If I can just give you some kudos, I think we've all noticed the increase in crime, increase in homelessness at Ward's Corner over the last year, half year. And kudos to you and your combined police department for stepping up. I mean, you started off the report with the arrests that you've done, and I think that's helping, and we thank you for that. Just from my standpoint, I can tell you all that about a month and a half ago, I was coming to another meeting and I was going by taking some pictures of the homeless because we were having a problem. And I actually happened to drive by, there's a homeless gentleman laying down in the middle of the parking lot, the secondary parking lot for Walgreens in the back. He had been sleeping there all night and he was, while laying down, while I was taking a picture, urinating. Oh. Right in the middle of the parking lot, right where, right across from homes, right where you could see. And so we really have asked the police department to step it up because these are homeless folks who we go out, we offer them services, they turn the services down, then they stand out there, they drink, they're drunk in public, they're urinating in public, defecating in public. So it's something that we've had, unfortunately, to have to ask the police to step out on, and they have, and it's helping. So just kudos, thank you, and thank you for keeping it up.
There used to be Miracle Ear was the end unit,
Mhm.
and ours doesn't have anybody in there, so we haven't been able to prosecute that end unit for trespassing, but the VAR stepped in and stepped up and gave us a new tier letter specifically for the end unit, so we'll be able to start. Charging that. Yep, VARs did hire security, what their hours are, I believe she picked like pretty much daytime hours. They'll have Silver, I think is what it is that's there. But yeah, the VARs hired them.
To Martin's point, I've had 2 encounters, and some of these people are mentally ill.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, doesn't that open up
Like, for us to do
enforcement opportunities or something.
or like, so they have to meet a certain criteria, and a lot of them know how to answer the questions we ask.
Yeah,
Because they've been through it before. So I can ask them the questions knowing full well that, but I can't say they're lying.
right.
You know what I mean? But, or they're just like, they may have mental health issues, but they can still feed and take care of themselves with the basic needs. And then they know where they are. They know what day it is.
Right.
They cognitively know what they're doing. But then if they were to do something and get in trouble, then they revert to, they claim that they don't understand what's going on.
Right.
So it's like, it's hard for the officers, like, unless they answer honestly, and I may know they're lying, but I can't prove they're lying
Right.
unless, I have anything additional. So a lot of times we'll ask them, just like the homeless outreach programs, like there's help for them, there's things we can do, but if they've been through the system a couple different times, they know the process, they know how to answer the question, they know what not to say, and that's what they'll do, and then they'll move on, and then they're right back out there the next day doing the same thing. It's not an easy thing for us to combat.
No, I get that.
So a lot of those small, like drinking in public and things like that, they're very hard to combat because we don't really have much teeth to get them to stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's more inconvenient for me to make him pour his beer out than anything. So, but yeah, that's the main thing that we have trouble combating. That is
Beer and the little bottles they can buy at the ABC store right around.
So yeah, the
Or
ABC
not.
stores charges have gone up. So like I said, Officer Matthews has been just hammering them. He took out, I think, 14 charges on a couple different people today. So once those go through and I get the list, I send them out, and then hopefully they get picked up. So those are your drinking in public people. We do better with getting the larceny charge and the trespassing charge. That's our bread and butter for it, for the most part, because the trespassing charge is a jailable offense. It could be jailable. They don't show up to court, they get an FTA, things like that. So that's kind of what we go after.
Are these problems at Walgreens, are they in the evening hours or nighttime?
I think it's pretty much random for the most part. I know we're having some issues with people stealing like deodorant and things like that, and then they sell them other places like the Soap and Suds. But that individual she was charged with 9 different charges, and the officers that arrested her that day charged her with 2 more for that day. So she's got multiple charges. There's a couple other things we're looking into, but I can't talk about it because it's still in an investigation stage. But it's nearby, so it's something that might be contributing to some of the issues too.
They're panhandling there too. I mean, it's like middle of the day, you walk in and you get assaulted when you come out. And it's
Which business? I mean, it's pretty much all the businesses.
Walgreens is a favorite spot. Outside AutoZone's another spot. Harris Teeter, you can go in and tell the guard and he'll chase them off. But, those 2 places, and I wonder. I mean, I'd like to see some business open up across the street.
So Harris Teeter, new management came in. We're not aware that they had a tier letter, what a tier letter was, and we're letting people hang out up front. It wasn't until an officer came to the store for an unrelated message, ran into him, went in and said something to the management. And the 2 new managers apparently didn't know anything about it. So those managers, and then apparently the ones that most. So when the new management comes in, the new manager comes in, they're apparently not aware of what the situation is. So there was a little bit of a miscommunication for the Harris Teeter and Moe's.
Okay.
Yeah, I only find out because the officers usually tell me when stuff like that happens, so that I can be aware.
Between the,
Yeah,
The drive-through.
yeah, that's Langford back in there.
Mhm.
So all the buildings on the left side, on the west side of Langford have tier letters, the trespass letters. And then I'm gonna go and redo all the tier letters for the businesses. So I got both sides of Langford.
okay.
Should be covered.
Well, thank you for coming to find out, because the screen in the corner was a shopping cart. So there quite a lot, and Adale manager didn't do anything. He said, that's Silver, the security does that. And,
Well, if they're on the property, you can call us. You don't have to wait for management to do it. You can call us.
well, when the people, the two single women downstairs in Adale bus, in the bus stop, and 4 times found someone keeping, I don't know, 5 in the morning or 1 in the morning at the CDC. So, we called Silver, and then now find out something called police.
Yeah, just call us first, and if you want to call Silver or something,
Yeah,
that's,
they got no trespassing, but buildings.
yeah,
I think they were probably the same 3 men from that corner.
more than likely.
You don't see them.
Do you know anything about the 3 houses boarded up on West Little Creek?
So those are owned by the bank now. The evictions were done August 6th or 9th. Those are the ones where we've had a couple of trespass arrests yet. There was 4 people, well, 2 different people, 2 different times at 211 were arrested for trespass. 215 had 2 people arrested for trespass. And some of the people that used to frequent there are the ones that got charged at Walgreens. And then 2 of them, I believe, had to do with the ones on 100 block West Little Creek. They were both arrested. So as of right now, it's the dumpsters were out there. They're clean. They cleaned everything out, and they're up for sale. It's a nice, unique investment opportunity. I know the community resource officer.
Right back at you, right back at you. Right back at you.
Just saying. But yeah, so as soon as they sell, I'm sure something will happen with them. Yeah, the 217 got redone. That was purchased by somebody else, and now it's just those 3. So we do have a key, so we can check if, and then they're boarded up. We did have park ranger cameras out there, but they were stolen. So we're trying.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate it.
yes, sir.
So thank you much.
All right, I'll follow up on that.
We
for you.
will, not October, but 2 months, November.
November.
So,
Okay.
All right. So, I'll keep us moving here. So I've got a good friend, Katie Whitestone, who's here. She is she's on the Facilities Planning Advisory Committee. I feel like it's a longer name than that, but the school closures advisory committee, right?
Yes.
And is the only teacher on that committee.
Yes. The only classroom teacher. Yes.
So I'll let you take it away,
Okay.
unless you need more introduction.
No, I think I'm good. Thank you for having me. So yes, I'm just here to pretty much talk about anything that you guys want or explain the process a little bit. So I'll start with the process. Back in January, they put out a community call of how we could help to be on what they call the steering committee. There is a longer name for it, but they call it the steering committee. And it was open to anybody in the community, NPS. And so I put in an application to be on the board. And we had our first meeting in April, and basically they just gave us years worth of data showing all the information about the schools, the conditions of the schools, and then showing the historical decline of our student population in the schools over pretty much the last 13 years, which is the project manager who has been working on this for the last 13 years. He's been collecting all this data. This was all because we all know in the fall of last year when city council came and said, school board, we need you to take action. We need you to close some of the schools because we just have too many open schools with not enough kids enrolled in them. So over a course of 8 hours, we worked together to come up with options of the closures that could be made based off of the building age, the capacity, where they call them hot spots, or where the kids are located, and then where's the potential for growth. So we did that. We presented our list. And then with that list, over the course of the summer, they had some community engagement meetings where they asked for people to come in and give us their feedback on the preliminary list that we had put out. And then since then, the school board has made their own suggestions based off of some of our input, but then their own input. And then on Wednesday, they're going to vote on their final proposal to the city council. So where Granby falls into that, specifically Granby Elementary, is unfortunately, it is the oldest elementary school besides Bayview, but Bayview has been considered completely remodeled back in the late 90s. So Granby right now is the oldest elementary school in the inventory. And unfortunately, it has also had 0 repairs. So right now it's sitting at an FCI, which they call it the Facility Capacity Index, and that just means how in poor shape the building is. It is right now at a 0.81, and that is well above every other elementary school in the area. That is unfortunate because there was a lot of CIP money that came in after COVID that allowed for a lot of remodels. So a lot of buildings got new windows, new roofs, new HVACs, all that. Unfortunately, Granby didn't, because about 6 to 8 years ago, City Council had approved 3 new elementary schools, Granby, Norview, and Jay Cox. And that never happened. One of the reasons is because Granby Elementary School is on tricky land to rebuild on. So that's, I guess, the nice way to say it. But the wetlands behind it causes there to be a lot of problems of rebuilding on that exact zone. So when the steering committee first met, we all separated out into different groups and we were all working on different plans. Nobody was cross-talking. We weren't being fed ideas or anything. But of the 6 groups that we had, 5 of the 6 groups all came up with the Rebuild Granby at Suburban Park site, because Suburban Park has huge land right on it. You could build while school was still in session. The schools are literally a quarter of a mile away, just divided by Granby High School, really. And then you could just open it the next year. And that was on every single one of the options in the plans up until last Tuesday. And then that was cut off. So there is no longer what's going up on Wednesday on their option 5, a plan to rebuild Suburban Park. And then therefore there would be no plan to rebuild anywhere in this area. The only elementary school they're leaving on the docket right now is to rebuild Jay Cox. So that's where we are as of today. Jay Cox is over by Broad Creek and the newer Richard Bowling. So it's in that area. The reason why that one is still on the rebuild plan is because the old Richard Bowling building, as soon as it's vacated by CSEP, which is there's an acronym for it, but it's a centralized facility for all the districts here for students with troubled issues. Once they move those kids out of there, they're going to tear down the Richard Bowling building, the old one, not the new school. Everybody keeps getting those too confused. But they're going to tear down the old Richard Bowling building, which then allows the Broad Creek housing development to develop that whole area there, which would inherently assume that that would bring in more families with more kids so that they would have another elementary school in that area. So that's the loose idea of why that is where it's at right now. So, but unfortunately, I am a teacher at Suburban Park, and being on this committee has taught me a lot, but Suburban Park is 72 years old. Mary Calcott is 72 years old. And so if we don't have a plan in the next 10 years to build anything in this area, we're going to be without an elementary school in a short future, because schools aren't supposed to last 80 years, even if we throw some Band-Aids on them. So for Suburban Park, we got last year a brand new HVAC system, but it was on an old roof. So, how long is that going to really last? So that's a concern. Yes.
Who made the decision to cut the Suburban Park redesign. I mean, if we're looking at these FCIs for both schools, I mean, what is it gonna take a lawsuit because the building falls down on a student for us to do something?
The answer to that is nobody knows because it wasn't presented until 5 o'clock last Tuesday by 2 members of the school board, and they sprung it on the rest of their school board members at the meeting on Wednesday. Nobody had seen it. Yes, sorry, that might be
We
a,
have since put up, because I fought for this.
Okay.
As of today, it was only Plan 5.
and now they're all
And
back,
so
right?
I insisted that we have all 6 plans
All
up
6.
there for votes, so we'll be
Yes.
voting amongst all 6 plans.
Okay, and last week at the school board meeting, one of the members did ask what happened to Suburban Park, and the response was, it's not on the list. Their response was, it was on 5 of the 6 lists until last Tuesday. One thing that we have learned is that those 3 buildings, Norview, Granby, and Jaycox is the only one still on option 5, but they also have now requested $120 million to remodel Lake Taylor High School to be open campus, alternative school, technical school.
It's a
So-
career technical education center with some traditional students in it. And that will allow us to take the Norfolk Technical Center offline, which is over on Military Highway, and it's
So that's where the money would go if it doesn't go to something like Suburban Park.
I'm
So-
looking for all the elementary schools here, and I'm not seeing this Jaycox, and I've lived here for 35 years. Where is it?
It's right, if you can find the Richard Bowling Library and the Richard Bowling Elementary School over by Broad Creek, Jaycox is literally like 2 blocks away. Like they almost share a joint property.
Oh, Princess Anne Road, isn't it?
I think so. I think that's the address of it,
It's
yeah.
a hike.
Merrimack Avenue, back around.
Well, yeah,
So
it definitely
all-
doesn't, it doesn't help
Suburban
here.
Park And Granby Elementary students, everybody's gonna get shipped over?
No, they're just building a new Suburban Park off and they're leaving that one on. So there is no current plan for this area to get a new elementary school. Yes.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah, I'm getting that.
When she talked about the heat map, what that is it shows red for the most, where our students live. So if a lot of students are populated in certain neighborhoods, it just shows us brighter red, all the way back to yellow where it may be very scarce. And so when we look at Granby Elementary School, what they found is the students that are attending there are not in Talbot Park or Talbot Hall, not in that area. They're actually far north and far south. And so to rebuild not only the environmental issues, but also to rebuild Granby Elementary when we currently don't have students to fill an elementary school that are using it in that area, it doesn't make sense. And so that's why, I would suspect that Mary Calcott will get, rebuilt.
So the problem with Mary Calcott, it would have to be rebuilt on a different site because we did recommend that one. However, since it was built 72 years ago, it is now in a flight pattern. And so nothing on that site, north side or Mary Calcott, could ever be rebuilt, which was again why Mary Calcott, Granby, and Suburban Park could all go into the land that's on Suburban Park. But the problem with the Granby district right now is you would think that the zones are kind of circular. The Granby zone for their school is just really long and skinny.
It's like an ass.
So yeah, it's very
Like a
long
letter
and
I
skinny.
Going from north to
Mhm.
south. And so where the 2 crosses are at the top of the and bottom of the eye, that's where most of the population is.
So the plan is, if all of this gets approved and Granby would close, there's plenty of room right now at Camp Allen. So Camp Allen is north of us. That's only about 54% occupied. So there's room at Camp Allen for some of the middle kids. There's plenty of room at Larchmont. There's room at Suburban Park. There's room at Willard. So as you go down the long zone that they have right now, there's places where they could put everybody
There's
with
also
ease.
a plan to expand elementary.
And that one got removed off of option 5. So if they're all back on there, we'll see what they vote for, because that one wasn't talked about.
I should have joined here. I used to work for anything else, but when Granby goes away, did they talk anything about the future of the land and all.
Yeah.
Come up.
So this is very unofficial,
One of the
but
kids from the school, who's my neighbor, told me, he's like, there ain't Maury or Granby Heisen use that as
Football
a
field.
football field.
so that is also what we were told as a possibility at steering committee. That hasn't come up.
I still want to become a
But, but that is what we were also told, is that if Maury gets their football field, then to make every school equitable, then Granby would get a football field and that could be the location for it. So that is what we were told. It hasn't been on any official plans, but that was definitely discussed. Yes.
Their administration, I've heard grumblings about how because of the environmental impact, they might not be able to fit it there.
And that's probably true.
And then Ghent and Monroe both got taken off. Although since as of this afternoon it's changed, but there's just been I'm on the school board, like, but
Yeah,
for me,
it's a lot.
really been a lot of backdoor dealings that make it very frustrating to try to keep track of everything.
And I'm sure a developer could get cheap by the way.
Probably very much
His name's
so,
Art
yeah.
Collins.
So you mentioned earlier that you assembled, this was based on years of data.
Years.
And a lot of us attended that right sizing meeting at Granby High School, talking about the FCIs. It was very important that we learn this information. However, moving forward, can we not wait years for this data to be, looked at again? Can we have this committee stay steady and maybe looking at the FCIs on an annual basis should be a prerogative of the school board or the school district?
So one of the things when I joined the committee, because this is my 4th year teaching, I'm a retired Navy person that moved to Norfolk a long time ago. I joined it with only the future in mind, thinking that this was a huge step forward. When I heard that this had been going on for years, I was like, wait, what have we been doing for all these other years? So I was like, okay, well, can we just move forward? So the school board did sign a list of assurances at the September 3rd meeting. And a couple of the assurances, one is that this will be reviewed very regularly. So this data won't just sit anymore.
Very regularly?
I think it said 3 to 5 years, but it did definitely say it was going to be reviewed. They also requested that the steering committee stay together, whether it be, new people join it or whatever, but they did want to keep a steering committee on. And then one great thing that they did put on there is that once the schools are hardcore identified, like this is it, this is your last year closing, is that each school will be assigned a school advisory committee for that school, from school parents, faculty, whoever's from that school, to help with the whole year of transition. And they will be given 1 year of notice so that they can celebrate their school, say farewell, and then know how they're going to transition. Go visit the new school, know the transportation routes, do that whole kind of like camaraderie thing getting together. But there will be a committee for each school identified. So those were assurances made.
I want to add that we have a standing facilities committee that does what you're asking.
I'm just wondering how it got so bad.
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if we got time for all that.
Not all the reasons. So money for sure is one big reason. And actually the COVID money that came in, Ezra funds, that actually drastically skewed the FCIs. So we had a lot of old buildings. Suburban Park and Granby, the only difference was like 2 years, but Granby had no upgrades and Suburban Park got a new HVAC system. So all of a sudden we're down in the 60s for FCI, even though the other day I was in the teacher's lounge and stuff from the ceiling was dripping in there. So it's not in great shape, but it has a new HVAC. So on paper it looks better.
So the reason Granby's been delayed is because we had plans to tear it down and build another elementary school there. And then this whole new plan has come up. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I hear you say that they're gonna build another suburban?
That was on the plans on the same property that would allow then a new school in this area, but that was taken off last Tuesday, now put back on. So tomorrow we'll see, or Wednesday we'll see what actually happens. But that's a funding thing too. So yes.
Okay, not to jump off back, but so Ghent was put put off taken off the list for the closed, correct?
Of option 5, yes, it's still on option 1, 2, 3, and 6.
I was wondering if that was gonna be, if they leave it there, how's that gonna impact the Memorial School, high school?
So,
Well, then they don't get killed.
They don't get it. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's all.
and as of right now, the plan is really still to take up 3/4 of that land and then build them into their corner. So that's what would happen, but that all still is up in the air too, so. Yes, ma'am.
So when will the Granby Elementary School be closed?
So right now, they don't have definite dates on anything. Actually, nothing's definite because they haven't voted until Wednesday. But they only have identified a year for 2 of the schools, and that would be the 2 early education centers closed. That is on the current plan that they released today. However, the goal would be to close 2 elementary schools every year leading up until they were done. So-
Elementary is actually supposed to be closed in 31.
So that was on plans 1 through 4. Yeah, it was pretty far out. So, and one of the things that, from the teacher standpoint, and I have little kids in all the NPS schools too. One of my things that I've seen on all these reports that seems to not be getting addressed is that we're right sizing the buildings, we're right sizing the students, but we need to right size the teachers. So I will use Suburban Park and Granby as an example. The data that came out that was given to the school board showed that 26% of Suburban Park's teachers are currently unlicensed. 18% of Granby's teachers were unlicensed. That's not people in progress of getting a license or provisional license. That literally means that they are a person in your kids' classroom with a PULSE and a high school diploma. Because there's other categories for provisional license. There's other categories for associate teachers. That means at my school alone, 1/4 of the teachers teaching your students are not qualified. And not only that, they're not in process of becoming teachers. They are just there. So as much as I love my staff, I love all of them, right? But like that is a problem when we're at a school that struggles as much, for example, as ours does, when you have unlicensed teacher. I had a grandma come to me the other day at open house and said, my son has just been struggling for the last 3 years. And last year in 4th grade, it really, really showed. I said, last year we didn't have a qualified 4th grade teacher. In the whole building, not one of them was licensed. So like we can fix this problem, but we can't fix it if we just keep going at this slow pace, or if we take 10 years to close the schools. We could right size pretty quickly and get licensed teachers in all the classrooms. So that's been my biggest heartache at it. And when you said I'm the only teacher on this, I'm like, I keep bringing this up, like we need to be surrounded by people who are licensed. And not every licensed teacher is great. I'm not saying that, right? We all know that, but like they are better apt to handle those situations than those kids. And then we started this great associate teacher program where people can come in and learn to be a teacher. We're not giving them a chance to learn. We're throwing them into the lion's den with a classroom of kids with no training. You know, we had a guy last year, he lasted all of 6 months. He had a pharmacy tech degree and he thought he was going to teach 4th grade and it didn't work out how he thought, right? But like maybe partner up those associate teachers in with licensed teachers once we right size the teachers too. So that's my soapbox part of this, because that's just been very hard for me to keep thinking about and not seeing any action on. Yes.
How about the other cities? Do they have the same problem?
I honestly don't know. I've adopted Norfolk as my hometown and I'm here for it, good, bad, or ugly. So yeah.
Our consultant has said that, you know, people having less children and also with us not having any more land
Room to grow. Yeah.
That, you know, we're being impacted in 2 different ways. But that the trend is that most people are not having as many children anymore.
Well, how does that equate to having unqualified teachers?
Oh, it doesn't. Like that is not an issue.
Due to the lack of pay?
Well,
No,
they have every opportunity to get their license, but they have to do it on their own. And this comes out of, and we're not the only district
Why
doing
aren't they
this.
required to be working on it?
Well, what was happening was there was a teacher shortage and everyone was
After
desperate to
COVID.
put in more body in the classroom at the time. So we gave them, and again, not just Norfolk, all across the country,
Yep.
everyone said we have to be more lax in our hiring practices. And so they decided that if you have a bachelor's, I think, or.
Yes, a bachelor's in anything.
Yes, and anything.
Game
You can
simulation.
get On a program to get a professional license, but you have to do that, so you're given a timeline.
2 years, yep.
Yeah, so this is all, there's a process, so it's not like just throwing people in the classroom. But, that they have a timeline that they have to get their license by, or we have to let them go.
However, once they apply for it and get set in that program, they are just given a classroom. They are not like partnered up with a licensed teacher. They,
Work and
yeah.
learn at the same time.
Yes, if there's somebody to help you learn, but yeah, that makes it very difficult. But our salary, I will say this for Norfolk, highest in the Hampton Roads district. We do have very good teacher salaries, so that's a good thing. And we do also have to
How many
admit
years has this been going on?
which part?
Unqualified teachers for years and years?
It has been exacerbated greatly by COVID. So once COVID came, people just never came back to teaching. And so there was so many gaps that it's just been impossible. And this isn't just Norfolk, this is nationwide. I mean, this is a nationwide problem. So yeah, but the salary is good. And then one thing we do have to think about is, yes, we are saying that people are having less kids, but we also know in Norfolk, people choose to send their kids to church schools and private schools. And now these homeschool pods, people are always asking for my advice on what curriculum should I use for my homeschool pod. I was like, you shouldn't, you should send them to public school. But that's, that's their choice to do that, right? But we have to look at that, and we have to take that into consideration, that people are doing that in lieu of sending them to NPS. It's really hard to move into a new neighborhood and look over at the school where the wall is fallen over, or the baseball field is grown up, or you can see plants growing in the gutters. And it's really even harder to show a bright, new, shiny 24-year-old teacher come work in my 80-year-old building. It's very difficult to do that. And it's very difficult in this area when they go to Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. And even though the pay is a little bit less, their shiny, bright new buildings are there, so that's difficult.
What about the impact on the news that you see?
On the what?
On the news that you see nationwide. Isn't that part of that too?
Oh, definitely. And our consultant from Texas says he has done this program, I think 63 different cities nationwide. And he says he has seen places that are similar to us that do absolutely nothing until the day where they just show up to the school and there's just locks on the door because it got so bad and nobody did anything in advance, even though they were warned. So we're better than those guys. That's a good thing to think about, right? Yes.
Well, I used to work at nutrition center. The food's good though, right?
Yeah, the food is good. Yeah, they announce it on our morning news every day, and I'm always like, that's good options. They do, yeah.
They don't apply the hard, the charges or anything.
No, it's good, yeah.
Vacation, like spring break.
They did breaks.
Yep. Yeah, I actually run the after school program at Suburban Park, and I found out we actually can even take lunches on our weekend field trips that we take the kids on for free. So I was like, that's awesome.
The nutrition center is down there by the SPCA's.
Mm-hmm. They do a good job.
Yeah. We won awards. We just got an award from the Virginia School Board Association for the best lunches in Virginia.
Yeah.
That's all my kids.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and I appreciate it because I don't have to pack 3 lunches every day. Any other questions? So, yes.
Regarding the parents of the union, as the, regards to the, I guess, the food in the public schools, has that been impacted?
Not that I've seen. Everybody was a little bit shaky on it at the end of the summer, like what was going to happen, but we started with all full benefits of that. Yeah, so that's been good.
The elementary school is having a little open house tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had ours last week. Yep. We had ours last week.
All right. Well, Katie, I know you got to jet out of town.
I have to drive to Fredericksburg to have a conference tomorrow.
So anyway, thank you for taking the time and coming and updating us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
All right. Adele, do you want to fill in everything else school-wise? It's been a busy summer. You got it.
So what I'm handing out right now is a facilities master plan. This was given to us with some just overview of what we're, a lot about what we've talked about already. And there might be a couple things that are outdated because of changes that have happened over the past month or so. But it's otherwise gives you a good background on why we're here, which we talked about is declining enrollment. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get each of the schools, the goal is to have each of our schools, elementary schools, at 85% capacity, so that we'll have some growth in the future if things should change, which is not trending in that direction right now, but just in case, especially since we keep our schools for so long. Let's see what I want to say about that. And so once the long-term plan is that once the elementary schools are closed and consolidated and stabilized, then we'll move on to our middle schools and high schools, since that's how that wave will affect our schools in the future. We shared a lot of information today, so I just want to know if you have any questions for me.
I feel sorry for Norfolk because so many people are moving to the beach because of the schools. That's the big problem I hear is because of the schools. We're losing all those people. We're becoming old people.
Do we have any data on people that are moving to Virginia Beach just because of schools?
I don't know.
Aaron
Yeah,
might
I mean-
be
It's
a-
mostly hearsay. Not
Yeah.
hearsay, it's just.
anecdotal.
Because it's not that we're
It's
losing.
happening.
I mean, there's a lot of she's like what's her name again? Sorry.
Which one, Aaron?
Yeah,
Or-
Aaron.
Yeah.
So as Ms. Aaron said, there's a lot of data out there that shows that this is a national trend, and so we can't always necessarily blame it on Virginia Beach.
We'll blame it on Chesapeake.
Okay. But then we have Suffolk, who has the complete opposite issue, where they're growing so quickly out there. We share the same consultant, so we talk a lot about the differences. But yeah, so they're working. Wolcott is working with Suffolk Public Schools as well on their plan. Go ahead.
Is there a plan that, your, Lakeside High, when it consolidates, becomes a technical center to like work with the industry and, because we're hundreds of thousands. Of
Oh, yes,
parents.
absolutely. Yeah. So our CTE program is really strong.
So they're working with Smithsonian Industry.
Yes, we continue to work with them. If you go on the website, you can see a whole list of industry representatives that are very active in consulting and hiring our students.
You can't hire them.
Yeah, students are graduating with aviation degrees, drone certifications, AI certifications, business certifications. Hospitality is huge for this area. It's a wonderful program. It's very robust, and we continue with those relationships. Anything else? Go ahead.
You were talking about the option, is that publicly available somewhere?
The options for what?
There were like 6 options or something, and
For the closures.
Oh, yeah. So they weren't until this afternoon, like just before this meeting got posted. Like Ms. Ann said, that there was only the option 5. And so I wrote a nice email to our chair explaining how this is supposed to work, and it's supposed to work that we vote on all the options since all we had was discussion. And so, and also as people come in to speak on our agenda items, it has to be on the agenda. So it was changed. Yes.
Yeah, how many schools, elementary schools, Norfolk have total?
I
Public schools.
think it was 28. Yeah. 28. We're looking to change 10 or post 10.
Would you agree that I think part of it's also the development of the cities, that the reason why some people are moving out? The world, I think, I'm a Norfolk native, and I've seen this from day one. I've seen Ward's Corner when I was a little kid. packed, et cetera, et cetera. Now you see it like it is. It's, the way it is now. I think part of it's development of the area.
And that is not in my wheelhouse, so.
Okay, I'm not saying that collectively speaking.
Yeah,
I think that has something to do with that, with families moving out. They want to be the best
Yeah,
school.
so
well, our school system is doing very well. I mean, it's not,
But I'm just saying the way.
my kids are
I
in
will-
it, so.
I will say, this was kind of alluded to before, but that when you talk about migration in the Hampton Roads region, the one spot that is growing is Suffolk,
Yeah.
and everyone else is flat or going down. So
It's just not enough.
so to say people are going to the beach or going to Chesapeake actually is not. I mean, some people are,
I'm just
but
saying.
some people are also coming back here. But Suffolk is where the growth is.
And Suffolk has a lot of undeveloped land.
They have a lot.
Correct.
Correct.
And all the schools, if you look, were 71 years old, it was babies.
Yeah.
My gosh, every family had 5 or 10 kids.
Right.
So,
Right, people having less children, and so we need to adjust and save money for other projects.
The city of Norfolk is so, it's maxed. It is.
Thanks for bringing this, Adele. I really just wanted to ask about facilities master plan, that was, part of that was the federally funded HVAC plan. That runs out in 2026. Is there a chance to renew that, or is that flat?
That's done, yeah. That was from COVID money.
So we'll lose that, and then that'll have to be on our cap.
Right. And so all the more incentive to
Right.
to right size by getting rid of space that we're heating and cooling and, don't need to be doing that.
That was one of the data points that we were given, was that for every elementary school of the 28, just to keep the lights on, it was $800,000 per year. So that was a big consideration why we looked at elementary schools first by middle and high schools, was there are so many elementary schools and it's just so expensive to operate. And the goal should be about 400 kids minimum in every building, and there's quite a few that have less than 250, 200 right about now, so that's hard.
What is the plan for superintendent?
Oh, okay, yeah, we have a superintendent search that we're using the Virginia School Board Association to manage. And so the announcement was sent out about a month ago, and we have a meeting, I think in 2 weeks to, so the timeline is we have to name someone as superintendent by mid-December, it's like December 14th. And so because the state gives us this specified length of time, so we don't draw it out. So we are going to start looking at applications probably next week, and you're going to see more discussions about it. A lot of it does happen in closed session, so it's legally protected because they're individuals and potential employees. But we are going through that process right now.
And that's the contract starts, I guess, July 1st. Then.
Yeah, well, there'll be an interim contract, and then July 1st. Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there extras?
You said, all right, Jeremy. You guys can arm wrestle over later.
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Thank you for having me. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Jeremy McGee. I am your Super Ward 6 Council representative. So myself and Martin represent you on City Council. I took office January 1st, and so I thought I'd give you a handful of updates of some of the things we've been working on and then do some questions. Starting with LED street lights. So do you guys have any street lights out in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay.
All of them.
So this is an issue I've been working on across the city. So working with Dominion Energy, who owns those street lights. They have not been particularly responsive historically for a long, long time in terms of repairing those. The contract with Dominion Energy is up next year. It's negotiated with a group of different municipalities that come together. We're working to up the penalties for lights that are out and increase the response time for getting those lights repaired. We also have a citywide replacement project. We're about 9,000 lights into replacing 30,000 lights. We've paused on that because the light fixtures made available to us from Dominion are just too bright. Dominion has made us a couple of new options available. We're still working with them. We hope to relaunch that project in the next few months. In the meantime, so I saw that you've got a committee, right, that's doing streetlight outage reporting.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna mention it with Halloween coming
Yep,
up for people to report them. So I guess they should still do that.
Still absolutely
Okay,
report them. And then if you could get me a list of those that have been reported, if you could get folks to keep a track of those, and I've got a conduit that I can try to put a little pressure on to get those fixed.
And I reported 4 in one shot, and they were replaced the next day.
It seems like that's,
Stunned.
sometimes that happens, that they're repaired the next day, and then sometimes it takes 4 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought they were, I expected at least a week or two, you know?
You must have some influence.
Yeah, they must have known, they knew who reported them, that's right, yeah. So just make sure you report them and get me a list of any that have been hanging out for a long time. Other things, so yes, ma'am.
Are you taking into consideration the bird migration patterns in the voltage of the lights?
Yeah, so we've been working with the Citizens for Responsible Lighting. Have they been through here at any point?
They've sent stuff to us. I don't think they've.
Okay, yeah, so they know more about lights than I think I'll ever know about lights, and they're looking at the environmental aspects. They've been working very closely with the bird advocacy group, and I think the recommendations that we're getting from CRL represent, I think, the best in class in terms of environmentally friendly lights. The trick has been getting Dominion Energy to make fixtures available that address those things. And so again, we've made progress. We've been working on this the entire time I've been on council. The first response we got from Dominion Energy was no, we can't make those fixtures available. And then with time, they've made a few available, and we think they'll get to a point where we have what we need to install what we think is responsible lighting. Okay.
Who makes the decision on what kind of lights you do? Because at night, to me, a street light at nighttime is safe.
Yeah.
Why do people want bright lights? You go down, and in the summertime, the trees cover up, you can't see it.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I've actually learned that brighter doesn't necessarily always equal safer, because brighter lights sometimes create weird glares that make it actually more difficult to see. I do think it would be good to get a presentation from the Citizens for Responsible Lighting, because they've got some data they can show you on that. The answer to your question, though, we have one consultant that's been working with us on that. And then we have another consultant that we're in the process of onboarding that will help us choose the right light for the right context. And to your point, not every area is created the same. There might be areas where we need a little bit of brighter light. What we're trying to get Dominion to do is make fixtures available that give us choices.
I think, Joan, the general argument has been like light the road, but not my baby's window.
Yeah, we've got residents that say like my entire bedroom is lit up from these lights, and that's obviously not what we're trying to accomplish.
But another thing that she mentioned was the tree branches that cover the lights.
Yeah.
Now, who's responsible to remove those, Dominion or the city?
Most cases, tree branches blocking the lights would probably be the city, unless they're impacting the power lines, and then they're
not.
That's probably a city issue. Yep, that's probably a city issue. If you could get that reported to Norfolk Cares, we could probably get somebody out to address that. That actually is, I think, a good segue to my next point, and that is landscaping and upkeep just across the city, medians, open spaces, parks. I think we can do a better job at taking care of these areas. We've been focused on this so far this year. I want you to know this is not a budget issue. So I was surprised to learn first few months on council that we actually rolled hundreds of thousands of dollars from the prior budget into this budget. Like many things, it's a staffing issue. Finding full-time employees. We have a lot of temporary employees that are doing some of this work. As you can imagine, temporary employees, we're glad that we have them. They don't do quite as good of a job as the permanent employees. So we're trying to get this area fully staffed. The city manager has also authorized contractors for us to hire private contractors to help address critical needs, including tree trimming. So we have a private contractor that's helping with that.
As long as they're not the power company. Exactly.
Oh, I know. They're butchers. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And they used to come by, live on Newport, and there was a big live oak there. And they would come by every few years and trim, because they knew it was coming down into the right of way of Newport Avenue. So they trimmed the whole canopy over my house. And that was probably the guys that left.
Yeah.
You know, because they were really good at it. And they kept it evenly trimmed. And
yeah. So the,
You should call it like,
yeah, the contractors that are working for the city are under the direction of the city's arborist, and I think will doing a better job. I am convinced that the Dominion contractors are trying to kill the streets or the trees on my street with every trim. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm quite impressed that the tree continues to live after all of this. Okay, a few other things. So just know that that's something we're working on. If there are areas that need attention, we'll get after it. Code enforcement, also an area we're working on. Code enforcement in your neighborhoods, code enforcement in the business corridors around your neighborhood. Myself and the vice mayor have been playing an active role in code enforcement, including reporting areas that need attention. Our code enforcement staff is now, I think we're fully staffed. I think we've hired 10 or 12 new code enforcement team members. So again, you should see an improvement in this area and more consistent code enforcement going forward.
And maybe less parking on grasses in front of the house.
That's exactly the type of code enforcement but honestly, I think we're still at a point where if you see something, you got to say something. So I don't think we're at staff to the point where they're just out riding around looking for things. So if you have something like
You
that.
know what the problem is? They work during the day. And then. at
Oh, they get
night,
home in the evening.
And then when you call home, when they go to look, there's no one there.
Yeah.
They are doing evening hours in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right
lost
now.
summer now.
Yeah. Okay, that's good feedback though. I wasn't aware that they were not working in the evenings, but take a picture, report on Norfolk Cares, and again, if it doesn't get attention after a period of time, let us know. Okay. Also, we've already touched on it, but just homelessness. I can tell you I represent half the city. This is an issue that we're struggling with across the city. Council got an update earlier in the year. For the first time in a decade, the homeless counts in the city are going up. This is in spite of millions and millions of dollars that we're putting into this area, both boots on the ground. We put $500,000 into homeless task force. So again, individuals out in the community. This budget cycle, we have a center, basically a hotel that houses unhoused individuals. Every single time I've asked since I've been on council, do we have capacity at the center? The answer has been yes. Meanwhile, you have individuals that are out in the community that need services. And so just know that we're using a combination of tactics. I have consistently said I'd like to see more of the resources that we're investing in out in the community. So I'd like to see someone from our community services board out in the community. I'd like to see someone from our city staff recognizing issues before you have to report them into at a point where they feel like they're in crisis. So just know that that's something that we're working on together, and we hope that we'll get some improvement over time. There's been a few specific code enforcement issues. I'm not going to call those business owners out. Just know that we're looking closely at Ward's Corner. We know that part of attracting the right development in Ward's Corner, the right new operators in Ward's Corner, is making the area look attractive. And so we're working with some of the existing business owners to make sure they're pulling their weight. I hesitate to bring this up, but I think I have to. Granby Street bike lane, love it or hate it, it is moving forward. So construction will be happening. Martin and I have spent a lot of time talking with city staff, trying to make sure that it happens relatively quickly, that this doesn't drag on for years and years. We're not making any promises other than we have done all that we know to do to ensure that it will move quickly. We know it will be disruptive during the construction process. Which is, again, why we're trying to get it to occur quickly. The first phase of that will include some sidewalk improvements, and then you've seen the update. There's 5 rapid flashing crossing beacon things that will be part of that as well. Yes, ma'am.
If the bike lanes are not used within 3 or 4 years, can we reclaim them?
They're going to be. I saw a lot of head nodding up here. I think these folks up here are going to use them. Well, here's what I say. There's a lot of folks that say we don't want the bike lanes. The same individuals say there's too much speeding on Granby. And so what I say is I think the bike lanes, love them or hate them, ride in them or not, I think they will calm traffic and reduce speed. It's a 6-lane highway going through there. So hopefully it will help with that.
It's also for scooters.
Yeah, also for scooters. That's right. Yeah. Speaking of traffic enforcement, as you know, our traffic division is smaller than it has been in a long time as a product of just having a smaller police force. I have been a squeaky wheel with the police chief about traffic enforcement. Granby Street has been one of the areas I've asked him to make sure it gets some attention. In fact, I was headed to a Civic League meeting in Ocean View a few weeks ago, and I thought I was going to be the victim of increased traffic enforcement because there are a lot of officers patrolling Granby Street. So just
Clear, you were saying the traffic division of the police department.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And on that note, in terms of the police department, we received a mid-year update from the police chief. Crime is down across the city. Crime is down in your ward. The police chief is continuing to work on increasing the size of the force. In this budget, we increased compensation significantly. That went into effect October 1st, or goes into effect October 1st. And so we hope that will help us retain the officers we have and hire more officers. Going back 12 months, we're about the same size as we've been. But again, a lot of improvements in crime, violent crime down significantly, gun violence across the city down significantly. Yes, sir.
So I know that there are cameras in certain school areas, but not all of them. Will there be possibly camera additions for the Granby High School, Granby Middle School area? Or not Granby Middle, but Granby High School area, and then maybe, Granby Elementary on the other side?
Maybe. I think one of the big issues with the cameras is staff to process the citations that they generate. So beginning of this year, I think we were like 7,000 citations behind. We're working on increasing the staffing, but right now I think only 4 of those are in operation. So I think there's 12, but there's only 4 that are actually issuing citations at any given point. So I think it makes sense to expand that over time, but we've got to figure out how to staff it. And I think each ticket requires a sworn officer to review it in some way, and that really slows down the process.
I'm just thinking because if you're also going to have the bike lane, and there have been several bike fatalities in Norfolk over the years, that would be a great way to kind of like double dip here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the area you're talking about is very, very tricky. So yeah, that makes sense. Yes, sir.
On a semi-tangent to this, is there a possibility, I am going to say this, and I do not want those in our neighborhood, possibility of speed bumps on like North Shore, because we got people coming down there like this.
I am happy to look into it. I can tell you my experience with that so far on council. Every time I request speed traffic calming thing, I get an explanation 15 different ways as to reasons why it can happen. So I'm happy to look at that. Our transportation folks seem to be somewhat resistant. Part of it is funding. Those things are.
I got that. My problem is I'm waiting. Okay, so why over there by Lafayette there's speed bumps?
Yep.
I gotta deal with those all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody here does.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to live in my neighborhood, but
Can you help get them the right people?
Through our area.
Can you help get them?
Yeah.
Or I'm not trying to be sure.
Yeah, well, and we just don't have enough resources to patrol everywhere. But I hear you, and I'm happy to take that issue to transportation and see if they can give you another.
Can I bring something up there?
Spikes.
All right, so Zach, we put speed humps on North Shore.
Yeah.
And then what's gonna happen? You're all gonna be going down Burley and Maycox at 100 miles an hour. It would have to be the whole thing.
I got it. We don't want to put crossings.
Right.
I'm not trying to say, I don't want to put them in there either. The problem is, there's too many people coming through. Walking through. And I'm talking like 60 miles an hour.
So let's do this. Before I leave, I'll get some of the places where we should do a little targeted traffic enforcement. That won't solve it permanently. Yeah, I think that would help in the short term. Yeah. Okay.
I know you don't want, I don't want.
Yeah, got it. Okay. I don't want to take all the topics. I know the vice mayor has some big exciting news to share with us of some type. Anything more from me before I transition to vice mayor, or I hang around and we both do questions together?
Just some kudos. Jeremy's been wonderful to work with since he's been elected to council. So thank you for electing him, and Jeremy, thank you for what you do. It's been great. Couple things. September 30th, 11 a.m. groundbreaking fitness and wellness center. So we're gonna do a little ceremony out there, and then the destruction will turn into construction. So that's very exciting. Things are rolling around.
Where's that gonna be?
Right on site at the fitness and wellness center.
Oh, okay. Go to our website, you can sign up.
There you go. It is now public news. We can say it out loud. We can say it on the internet. Target is coming to Ward's Corner. A long time coming. We're very excited. And actually, I'm really excited because around the same time that Target opens, the Fitness and Wellness Center opens, and the DePaul site is redone, we're really gonna have almost a Ward's Corner 2.0 area.
I think the interstate construction might finish.
And that is not there are some rumblings that Bon Secours would like to open an emergency care center on the first floor of their cancer building. The one newer building that they built. So they're gonna be applying to the state for a COPN, which you don't need to open an emergency care center, but you do want for a CT scan facility, usually when they're trying to do there. So we'll see if it happens. It's really gonna be up to the state. It's not up to us either. Just want to put that on your radar. That's the only thing I kind of want to throw at y'all. Yes, sir.
I see some activity at the old Farm Fresh. Any plans there?
Unfortunately, I was talking to the officer earlier. I'm going to get him some contact information so they can get a trespass letter from the ownership group. But most of the activity you're seeing over there is not good.
Well, no, I'm talking about there's man lifts going in the building, and guys working there. There's an portable outhouse out there in front. Oh yeah.
Just any news in general, Mark?
I don't have any news in general.
Well, yes, the doors open. There are trucks there.
They got a permit posted.
Doing me great.
Yeah.
We have
Sounds
not,
like progress.
Yeah, we have not been told
That's something.
anything.
Okay.
They have not come to us for any building permits. They have not come to us. And in fact, I'm going to send some code inspectors out there. You say they're
I don't know what they're doing inside, but they had man lifts. A couple men.
We're at war with them right now.
They haven't been too friendly.
Yeah. Mention that.
They can just bring them in and talk about the skip these cars. What you want to talk about, right?
Yeah, so Rite Aid, we've got word through a broker for the ownership group that owns the old Rite Aid that they have a national tenant that they're getting ready to announce. We had originally been told that they were going to announce it last week. Now they've asked for another couple of weeks. I guess they're still negotiating terms. We don't know who it is. I don't know who it is.
I don't know.
But we're being told that it's a national tenant and it's one that's not in our area. That's all I've got.
And
It's a little teaser.
that it's responsive to what the analytics say the area needs. So I have said, I hope that means it's not a match.
Another mattress.
This is way out there, I'll get by the end. In many cities, of course, the train issue, we've been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the train drives you crazy. And I'm sure big cities, they've approached trains as an obstacle. Has there ever been any thought of?
They were here before we were.
In this area.
I'll address it. So the question is, can we lower or raise the train tracks and go through what's going on? So the short answer is we know we cannot. So the train tracks and the land, those are all owned by the railroads. So we cannot effectuate any changes on them. Realistically, could we put the roads underneath of them? We could.
Yeah.
But once you look at the approach, and we've studied this, once you look at the approach angles, you'd essentially cut off all of Ward's Corner with the ramps to go down and back up. So we have studied that in the past, and it just unfortunately doesn't work out very well. We did win a grant about a couple of years ago from the state, which will be implemented in a few years because the state takes forever to give you the money that you win, that will provide video boards at different locations about when trains are coming. And so you'll have a heads up. We'll put sensors on the tracks that'll tell us when the trains are coming, and then relay that information to the video boards. And then you can, yes.
That's it. Then we need speed bumps on Toth.
One other little super quick update. So I think Matt have asked a question earlier about the school sites, sort of what happens there, what will be built there. That reminded me, the mayor has formed the Mayor's Commission on Housing to start to work to try to answer that question. So myself and Councilman Clanton, so we both represent the two super wards, co-chair that commission. We actually met today. Part of what we're trying to decide is, or try to recommend to the broader council, what type of housing should we be building more of? What should we be incentivizing with your tax dollars? What should we be discouraging with your tax dollars? So that relates to any sites that come back to us from the school board. That relates to MacArthur, that relates to Military Circle, that relates to other vacant land across the city. We've met 3 times. We've got a lot of work to do, but just know that there's some deep analysis happening, and we're looking at all sorts of factors. We're looking at education, we're looking at the tax base, we're looking at housing affordability, all of these factors. I know in the last several years, I hear from a lot of constituents that it seems like the only thing that we have built across the city are large multifamily rental units. I think the data would say that we have done quite a bit of that, and we'll be looking at that closely and making recommendations on how we'd like that to shape in the future. So more to come. Yep. Yes, sir.
The Target store, would that be the only store there, or will there be a group of stores?
No, unfortunately, the property is not large enough for any additional stores, so it will only be a Target store there.
The biggest Target they can build.
It'll be an anchor for other development.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it will spur.
So it's good. No, on that property now.
And what I would tell you is, this was already happening before it was announced because it was known, but even more so now that it's announced, is the other owners of property at Ward's Corner, especially the Midtown Shopping Center, who I talked to the owner this morning, he's getting more and more interest from national retailers that want to be near things like Target. So we are getting more interest from more retailers who we don't already have. The ones he's telling me about, we don't have them in Norfolk. They hadn't historically wanted to be in Norfolk, but now they know that the Target is going there, Harris Teeter's across the street, they want to be there. So it's working.
Probably helping the right.
I think that would help that part of what's going on, or if nothing ever changes with the Dollar Tree, that maybe they'll upgrade it.
So economic development, we try this about every decade, and I've been here almost 3 decades now. So economic development is going to, over the next several months, go meet with each of the owners. Sorry, so she's talking about the property where the Advance Auto and Rite Aid is, that strip zone. Economic development is going to go up there and meet with all the owners. There's 5 owners. Some of them are in town. A good number of them are out of town, like not even in the region. And so we're going to try to meet with them and talk about combining services, or even at the most extreme, which would be great, is combining ownership somehow. Because the problem has always been is that they're individual owners and they only care about their piece, but it's condoed. So no one wants to invest in the parking lot because they don't own the parking lot. No one wants to get security because they don't want to share cost of security. So we're going to reach out to them again and try to have that conversation. So what can we do to try to do some shared services here? Maybe we all pay one person who cleans up the parking lot every morning because there's always trash out there, instead of, the Dollar Tree only does right in front of the Dollar Tree sometimes. And then, the auto parts store is similar. And so we're having that conversation. I can tell you that just because I've been around so long, we've had that conversation before. I'm not going to be too optimistic, but I'm going to be optimistic. We'll see.
Is the Ward's Corner Business Association still active? Yes.
Yes, they're still active. They still have their meetings. They have them up in quads. Yep, absolutely.
I would like to thank Martin, because he's the one who got Target.
That's right. That's absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
The answer is yes.
One trip.
Long ago.
I mean, 4 years ago, for those of you who haven't heard the story, and I don't like to boast, this is a little bit awkward, but 4 years ago, I went with economic development out to Las Vegas to one of the first trade shows post-COVID, which is a kind of retailer / shopping center trade show. And we wanted Target, and Target was kind of stiff-arming us. And so we pulled up the name of the guy director from Target who was going to be there. And we knew that they were not going to have a booth, but we knew he was going to be there. And so I literally had his picture. I still have the screenshot on my phone, and walked around until we found him. One out of 10,000 people. We found him, we cornered him. We talked to him me and Jerry Chalk, who was the economic governor at the time. We talked to him for 30 minutes when he was in line at the coffee shop in the middle of the trade show. And sure enough, from that day, we got communications with him through email and telephone call. It took a while, but here we are. And so it's been fun to kind of.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Martin will hunt you down if he needs you. Gray, do you want to talk about block captains before we're done?
Sure. So one of the things that the Civic League board has been doing is just talking about increasing participation. Right now, we've got about a little over 2% of the households represented in the meeting right now. So it'd be great to get that up to 5%, maybe even 10%. I don't know what the averages are for a civic league, but right now it's pretty small. And so I know that, and so as you know, you get a newsletter, it's on the website. Not everyone knows to go there. And so it'd be nice, and it's cost prohibitive to actually send out the newsletter to everybody. And so if we had block captains to maybe take them out, we're only talking doing this maybe twice a year, maybe for big events. And then also in just trying to increase the membership. We get more membership and get more block captains, and then hopefully it grows to larger numbers. So what I have here is a map of the Ward's Corner area as far as our Civic League is concerned. And if it's something where, you know, I think we have the Fall Festival that's coming up. And so we were talking about getting flyers out for the people who wouldn't mind just walking out around a certain street. Obviously, we're not going to get the entire Ward's Corner area, but anything we can do to get the word out more than just signs. I think people just drive past the signs, and so it, you know, you get used to seeing them and then you just forget about
When
it.
you're
So
driving 60 miles an hour, it's hard.
that's true. It can be very hard. Yeah, yeah. So, but having a piece of paper.
Well, they can't see this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so this is going to be up here if you're interested in maybe taking like your street, maybe one more, but you know, we're going to, you know, hand out whatever we're going to, you know, get whatever paper into your hands, maybe at the next Civic League meeting, so we can just get the word out. So
yeah, coordinate that.
So if you're interested, just put your information on here and just say what street you would like to have, and
block,
go from there.
like,
And the
if you don't
block.
want the whole street.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All
Thanks.
right, thank you, Greg. So yeah, so definitely if you all can help fill that out here when we're done in a minute. I do need input on one item that we're gonna do an adopt a spot cleanup on October 18th at 9 a.m. But because our usual spot is surrounded by a fence right now under construction, the question is so in the spring we had just gone and cleaned up, I think it was Ruthven Road, but we're asking, I guess, for neighbors, is there a particular space in the neighborhood that needs cleaning up right now that we should go focus on? I mean, it's been a few months. We can go back and do that again, unless. Oh no, it only takes like a week. I don't know how it happens, but.
It's pretty good about keeping the street. The neighbors are pretty good about it,
But down there past our driveway, that's when it all
but.
hell breaks
It's
loose.
so bad.
They just throw everything, everything.
Well, we did it last time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We did that. And I was supposed to say, are there any other
I was in the
dirty spots that need?
Shopping center at Dollar Tree. That needs it.
Well, just, I guess,
Okay.
email the website.
You guys send out?
website,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'll get Dana's options. Our fall festival is listed on here. So there won't be a meeting in October. We'll be back here in November. In October, on Sunday, October 26th, we will have our Fall Fest at North Shore Playground, which is, we are guaranteed by the city will be in good shape to host it there by that time. And Chris has been all over and making sure that it's going to happen. Aaron is looking for sponsors for that. If you're interested, I think they're real, small things to do. So if you know anyone that has a business or someone that wants to sponsor that, we are looking for those. So streetlight outage reporting. So like we were talking about, especially like Halloween coming up, like I go running in the morning and now it's dark when I'm running, and I can tell you that probably 50% of the streetlights are out. If you think they're like on a motion sensor, they're not. They're just about to fail. They haven't fully failed. So you can also call those in. So what you need to do, you need to get the pole number. All right, it's usually like a letter like N, 4 numbers, and like another letter and 5 more numbers or something. Yeah, it's on a plate. You can't mess it, right? And you need to get that number. Right, that's the identifier, and then you go to the Dominion website. So not Norfolk Cares. Norfolk Cares can't do this for you anymore. You got to go to the Dominion website. I think we've got the link on our website, but we can also, if you search for Dominion report streetlight outage, it'll get you there. And basically, unfortunately, the form isn't great, probably on purpose, but you put in your basic information, then you fill in the spot where you put those streetlight numbers. And sometimes they're repaired like the next day, and other times you got to call Martin because it took them a year. So
failed on me, it wouldn't let me submit, so I just got this one call.
Well,
And
I think
called, and they were very receptive, and I gave them the numbers, and she was actually able to say, okay, yes, I got that one on the map, I have that one on the map, and I have that one.
Yeah, and so I think just about the form from the experience, when you click submit or something, it looks like it doesn't do anything, but another message pops up somewhere else on the screen that says it was submitted. And it's, like I said, it's not great, and it might be on purpose, but
Yeah. Good point.
but anyways, and certainly, so if anyone is out on a walk around, especially after dark, and with your dog or yourself or whatever, and you see if you can report
the
that.
lights coming on and off is the failure mode.
That's
Okay,
they're starting to go.
One thing you mentioned, the street lights, and a lot of people don't know this, like there's a couple of blocks where it's totally pitch black.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those people live on that street. They don't want streetlights. So like unless the residents request a street lamp on that block, there won't be one. Like I know the 300 block of Maycox, the 200 block of Burley, they're pitch freaking black. There's no street lamps on them in those stretches. And it's only because the people live there, and for all I know, the people that live there may think, oh wow, I wish we had a street lamp, but they don't know enough
I
to
just
law.
happened to move in and there was one there.
Yes, right, yeah. But I mean, is that something that you're looking into when you're doing the whole deal here?
The replacement is a one-for-one replacement, so if there's not a street light there already, it wouldn't get a street light. So that's a whole different sort of kettle of fish in terms of if there are blocks that need.
Because from a safety standpoint, it makes it rather ominous when walking down there.
So if you need, if the light's failing, go to Dominion. If you need tree trimming around the light, then that's Norfolk Carrington City.
And if you could give me a consolidated list, I don't know if that's too much to ask. Or to say,
Sure,
yeah,
no.
all the lights that are out. We just went through this in Riverview, we got 48 that were out, a little bit of pressure on Dominion, we got like 40, 60.
I bet you we can collect more than 48. Especially if we lump in Talbot Park and River Point, I know we can.
Well, and honestly, we want to help get Dominion's attention because those are the whole
Yeah.
job here.
I don't know, maybe, yeah. Okay, I think that does it. So thanks everyone again for coming out and finding the new or temporary location. We appreciate it, and we will see you again here soon.
Come to the social next month.
Come sign up to be a block captain for Dre.